Hi, welcome. I'm gonna share the 8 Brocades Qigong set with you. I'm glad you're here. I've got another version that doesn't have me guiding you through it with my voice. So this version will be going through each of the 8 pieces of the 8 Brocades with 8 repetitions of each, and I'll be calling out and guiding you, correcting myself, and hopefully giving you some insight as to how to feel and correct yourself as you practice. So thanks for joining me. Let's do the 8 Brocades. It's important to note that warming up is really helpful before starting a Qigong set. What that warm-up looks like can vary. Look on my channel for some other options that will give you some insight as to how you can warm up your channels, warm up your chi, get things moving, feel grounded and flowing before you get into a Qigong set. So with that respect, I'm going to start by first doing the pulling down heavens. It's 3 breaths that I like to use as the beginning of any of my Qigong sets that I do. As we go through those 8 pieces of the 8 Brocades, we'll also do 1 breath of pulling down heavens in between as a reset in between each of those pieces. Here we go. So first thing I want to do is build my posture. I want to be nice and grounded and connected with the earth while also feeling very connected with the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars. And I do this by feeling my feet and articulating with my toes, feeling my feet almost spreading out and grasping onto the ground. This allows my knees to kind of unlock and to relax into an easy bend. As that happens, my low back is challenged to also relax and to expand and open. As that happens, my chest wants to open, so my shoulders naturally want to come back and drip down my back, which makes my neck want to be very long and tall. And the very tip top of my head wants to go up, which actually drops my chin slightly. And as that happens, I want to feel more flow in my arms. And so there's this little hollow that happens in the armpits so that we can flow all the way down to the fingertips. Now we can have our palms facing in, we have them facing back. This is the most relaxed position in the Wuji posture. But I also like to be very active with all of my channels so that everybody's working in unison, and holding this imaginary beach ball against my lower belt gives me that expression and that experience. Good, so from here I'm going to inhale into my pulling down heavens. So I'm going to inhale and allow my hands to drift around beside me and up over the top of my head. I'm gathering all of this chi that's around into a cloud that I'm just going to rain down the front of me. Like precipitation, just rain it down. And then I'm going to gather again this cloud up over my head and imagine raining it down my back. And it takes all this tension and all this kind of dust of what was happening to me and through me before I came and started my Qigong. Inhale one last time, gathering this cloud, and it gives me this opportunity to renew myself, be fresh and new for this Qigong I'm about to undertake with my body. Good, right through the center, like a tube, that rain washes down and out through the feet. So just in 3 breaths, we feel new, we feel fresh, we're ready for the 8 Brocades. We stay in our Wuji posture, and the first glowing gem of the 8 Brocades is focused on the triple warmer, the Sanjiao. And so we inhale, stooping slightly, bending at the knees, gathering with the palms, continuing to inhale as we lift that which we've gathered up to the chest. We come underneath it and press over the head while we hold that breath. Look up towards the fingers. Exhale, scraping the inside of the sphere that's around you, all the way down to your feet. And letting the hands expand Then beginning the inhale as you gather and lift. Completing the inhale at the top. Exhaling, relaxing the shoulders all the way down. Keeping the knees bent all the way back down, fingers pointing at the outsides of the feet. And stay breathless for a moment. Then we inhale as we gather, lifting. Coming underneath, pressing. Exhale. Letting the shoulders stay down. Feeling what that does to the underside of the arm. We gather again. This takes us to the halfway mark. This is number 4. Filling that whole torso, and then we pull it up through the head and out of the body before exhaling and spreading it wide. Good. 4 more. We gather, filling, drawing up and in, even to the point that we pull it out of the head, and exhale, stretching it. Feel more steady, more stable in your legs as you do so. Good. Stooping slightly to gather for 6. Exhaling. Feeling your shoulders expand, your upper back expand. We got 2 more. Now, once you've repeated these 8 brocades enough and you feel super comfortable with them, there's all kinds of nuance that you can change and you can add to it to really amplify what you're doing. One of those things would be to come up onto the balls of your feet as you reach up over your head. Come up as high as you can. I'm very tall, and so I'm touching the ceiling here, but I would want to reach completely with my fingertips. And then exhale to get as wide and as tall as we possibly can, sinking back down onto the heels as we come down in that exhale. Good. And that was 8 for us. So we'll do a pulling down heavens, which again is gathering this ambient chi that's around us into a cloud overhead. This time we rain down the front, the back, and the center all at once with our imagination. Exhaling, raining down, taking any tension, resetting us for the next beautiful gem. Good, and our Wuji posture here. Now in order to do this second gem that's focused on the lungs and an archer pose, we need to have a wider stance. So there's several ways to get there. I'm going to give you the kind of the basic way, and hopefully in successive videos I'll be able to show some more fun and flowy ways to get into the stance while still maintaining your connection to your dantian, to your groundedness, to the roots that you create through your feet. But for now, let's go ahead and just pivot. We're going to pivot on the balls of the feet and the heels of the feet, and we'll pivot 3 times with each side. So we'll start with this side for me, whichever it shows up on the video. And I'm going to go ahead and pivot my heel out, land my heel, and then I'm going to pivot on my heel as my toes kind of fan away from me to kind of do 180 degrees from where they were. And then I'll pivot on the ball of my foot, bring my heel back into that straight alignment and place it down. So I've got that nice straight line on the outside edge of my foot. And then I'll do the same with the other foot. I'll pivot on the ball with kicking the heel out, planting it, and then pivoting on the heel, opening, and then pivoting straight to create that straight line. So I have parallel outside edges of my feet, but I've got a nice wide stance. Notice that the knees are still nice and bent. We're not locked out, and we don't want to collapse. We just want to stay in a nice, relatively straight line. This makes us engage with the ground and grab up through these channel pathways in the center, in the inside sides of the legs. So here we have our base set, and now we need to set up our the bow holder, the archer component of this. And so an inhale lets us drift our arms out to the side. And exhale brings our hands in front of the chest with us crossing at the wrists. And whichever way you end up, know that the inside arm is what's going to extend out and become the bow. The outside arm is going to remain and become the puller of the string of the bow. Because remember, this is the archer pose. So it doesn't really matter which way you start out. That's just what gives you the reference of which way you're going to go. You're going to end up going each way in a balanced number of times because we do this 8 times. All right? So here we are. We've exhaled. We're here. We now allow ourselves to inhale, and that inside arm follows along the inside edge of the outside arm until it gets to the fingertips, and that outside arm begins to pull that imaginary bowstring to the chest to lock it in to that same side shoulder. We're looking down our sights. Our forefinger and thumb make a little reticle or a little L shape to look through so we can aim our bow. And here's where we exhale. So we really inhale for that whole transition, even all the way to pulling that bow. We stay breath full for a moment, and then exhale, sinking ever so slightly with our knees and really relaxing the shoulders and getting ready to loose that arrow. Inhale. Pulling tight. Exhale. Feel the opening of the chest. Feel the shoulders compressing. But you also want to keep the core engaged. We don't want to be bowing. We want to be in line with our core engaged. Right? It's very, very different than this, which is letting all of our chi leak out of our belly. We want to keep engaged with that tailbone tucked under. That we do this by grabbing onto the ground because it makes us pull in our belly. Right? Inhaling. Pulling tight. This is our midpoint. Exhale. Good, we have 4 more. Pulling and exhaling, opening, but staying engaged. Good. Inhaling, transitioning, pulling tight, exhale. Straight across the shoulders, from arm to arm, one straight line as best we can. Inhaling. The last time for this side, pulling tight, ready to shoot. Switching sides. And ready. To finish, we inhale, bringing the arms in front of the chest again, crossing at the wrists. As we exhale, we press the palms down the front of the body, pressing down the front of the thighs, through the knees, through the feet, into the floor. Now we're ready to pivot, to come back to our original Wuji posture. So we pick up under the ball of the foot, this time pivoting in towards the midline, putting the heel down, pivoting on the heel that 180 degrees, and then pivoting one more time to be back in that original position. Same on the opposite side, pivoting in, up, and back. Looks like I made a much closer Wuji posture as I came back. So I'll want to just adjust that a little bit so I back into letting things flow nice and easily. This can happen, and it's not about precision or even really technique as much as it is about your intention, your breath, and your ability to feel where you are, your awareness. Let's do a pulling down heavens. We gather over the head, rain it down the front, back, and center. Feel it go through your feet. Wiggling the toes. Good. This third gem is focused on the middle jiao, the middle burner. And in this middle burner is the spleen and the stomach. The spleen, pancreas, and the stomach. The drivers of digestion and the separators, but also the stomach is called the pivot. It is the pivot around which all other function in the body works and moves. And so it is the generator of fluids, the stomach. So here in our expression of the spleen and stomach with this Qigong exercise, we're stretching that area energetically while also utilizing the channel pathways that extend the spleen and the stomach, which are leg channels that only go kind of to the torso and to the face, but are able to extend those channels beyond that. This gives more expression possibility for the stomach and the spleen itself, so that means they get stronger. That means that their function is more efficient for digestion, but also for the myriad of other things that they're responsible for. So we're in our Wuji posture. We inhale, gathering, just like we did for the Sanjiao. This time we lift up to the level of the diaphragm. We change the direction of our palms so that one is facing down and one is facing up, and then we keep that orientation through the rest of our inhale. This means that the fingertips have to spin around for the upper hand as well as the lower hand, and then we exhale and press those palms away from each other. One palm as straight up to the sky as I can, the other palm as directly down to the floor as possible. And notice that that means it has to go behind my tailbone to do that. As I inhale, the hands change orientation. The palm of the upper hand is now facing down, the palm of the lower hand is now facing up, and that becomes my focus. Those palms must reach for their corresponding surfaces. Now this other arm is reaching up as high as I can, the palm as flat as possible. This lower hand is reaching down towards the earth, the palm as flat as I can be. Inhale as I switch. Palms have changed which direction they're facing. I have to spin around and allow my body to do some spirals in order to accomplish this, and I just let it happen, exhaling as I press. Switching, inhale. This is one that I easily lose count. So we'll see if I lose count this time. Pressing. I feel like that was number 4. We should have 4 more. Remembering that the hands switch positions. They flip when we're done with our exhale to begin the next inhale. This will help us not get too much in our brain about it. And we've got 2 more. This is another wonderful gem inhaling that has a different variation as you kind of gain your repetition in doing your 8 brocades and gain some confidence in the movements. There's another variation for this one that's really fun. It involves kind of pivoting around a little central globe, inhaling. That comes right here at the middle of the dantian, the middle of the diaphragm. Good. Exhale and allow that to drop down in front of you, right out your toes. Good. Right into the earth. Pull down the heavens. Rain it through you. We widen our stance again for our, nope, we don't. We stay right here for number 4. Wuji posture is always our beginning stance, and we gather again, stooping slightly to do so, lifting up this time just to the level of the navel before we turn our hands over like we're on top of a shelf, on top of a counter, and we press and lift up onto the balls of our feet at the same time. Trying to remember if that's actually how it goes. That makes me feel like that's actually the last one, which is dropping post. Excuse me while I have a miniature quarrel in my brain with which way this goes. Actually, I think we just go nice and tall so that we elongate both the front of the body and the back, both the spine and the front of the spine, but the front aspect of the torso and the face. So let's try that one more time. Excuse me. Inhaling, gathering, up to the navel, pressing and stretching, lifting from the vertex of the head, tucking the chin to lift as high as you can. Exhaling and keeping the palms flat to the floor, we take the chin to the shoulder and bring the fingertips around to the back to aim at one another. So our fingertips are trying to aim at each other while our palms stay very flat. Then relax, coming back to neutral before we inhale, gathering, inhaling up to the navel, pressing, growing tall, exhaling to the other shoulder. Arms come all the way around, aiming at one another, palms stay very flat. We relax, breathless. Then we inhale, pressing and lifting, and we exhale to reach around. This is 3. Back to neutral, inhaling. Stretching, and then exhaling. Back to neutral, breathless, before gathering and inhale. Try and feel the chest and the abdomen open. Neutral before gathering, lifting, inhaling. Keeping the core engaged though, so you don't bow out. We want to keep everything in so that it's the channel pathways that are opening, not your muscles that are being weakened. Back to neutral, inhaling, 2 more. Keeping the tailbone tucked under, the knees relaxed, the shoulders down, neck is long. Last one. Exhaling. Back to neutral. Pull down the heavens. Gathering the chi up over the head like a cloud. We rain it down and through. I've got to get ready for a treatment. We'll come back and do the other 4 after this. All right, treatment is over. Ready to continue with those last 4 gems of the 8 brocades. For this, the 5th gem of the 8 brocades, we need to have a wide stance again. So just as before, best to kind of pivot until we get some repetition of doing the 8 brocades and are real comfortable with just how the next movements are going to go. Then we can start to get fancy with the footwork. So for now, just pivot on the ball of the foot, pivot on the heel, pivot on the ball. And the same on the other side. Pivot on the ball of the foot, the heel, the ball. So we get our nice wide stance. Nice easy bend in the knees, and our hands stay very quiet on our thighs for this one. This is all about stretching a really specific channel pathway, and that's the kidneys. We're focused on supporting the kidneys in the low back by supporting and feeling the channel pathway that comes up from the arch of the foot, up the inside of the leg, through the groin, and all the way up to the same side ear. So as we do this stretching style Qigong exercise, we want to really be focused on trying to feel that connection from the foot through the torso to the ear. So we inhale, bending a little bit, coming to one side, and extending, lengthening through that side all the way into the ear, into the head. And we just look down with our eyes towards that same side foot while our nose stays forward. We inhale, switching sides, bending the knees, stooping slightly, coming to the other side, lengthening that whole line. And then exhaling when we can feel that connection from the arch to the ear. Taking our eyes down towards that foot. Inhale to switch. Lengthen. Exhale. Switch. To the ear, exhale. Good, 4 more. If you can look in a mirror, you can see if you're collapsing in the hip or if you're keeping a nice straight line. I assume I'm keeping a straight line, but you're able to tell more than me right now. Inhaling to switch. I really try and feel that connection. That helps me know that I'm as straight as I can be. Looking down. Last two. One side's easier than the other, I notice. Last one. That may be true for you too. Good. Inhale, coming back to that central position. Exhale, coming up back onto the horse stance. And just allow yourself to pivot to come back in. Not too ceremonial. That should bring you right back to Wuji posture. Now before I was much closer, but that one was a good one. All right. Pull down the heavens. Raining down the front, the back, and the center all at once. Good. On this one, we are also strengthening the kidneys, just like our previous with that stretching of the channel pathway. Now we're going to actually gather chi, wrap it around, and press it directly into our kidneys and elongate its partner channel, which is the bladder. The bladder channel runs along the back, especially the glutes next to the sacrum, down the hamstrings, behind the knees, down to the heels and the outsides of the feet to the pinky toes. So we have our Wuji posture. Our little magic hands are the gatherers again. We inhale and gather a big ball of chi right out in front of the belly. We descend the hands as we continue our inhale or have a full breath. Wrap it into our back and press. Then we exhale. We keep our chin up and our knees straight so that our back stays straight. Come down as far as we can. If that means all the way to the feet, that's great. Bend the knees. The hands come to the insides of the legs. And we paint up all the way to the groin, all the way to wrap the belly again and press. Exhaling. Trying to elongate our inhale as we come up. So we can be breathful here. And out. Bending, painting, wrapping to press, looking behind you. Exhale. This is 4. And I was holding my breath. You could hear it. Try not to hold. Try to be breath full, not breath held. There we go. 2 more. Press and look behind. Exhale. Bend the knees, paint the inside of the legs. Inhale up to the dantian. Have a little triangle around your navel. Exhale, relax into your feet. Pull down the heavens. Front, back, and center. Good. For our next little gem, we need our horse stance for one final time. So we pivot out again and pivot. Having our nice solid stance, nice easy bend in the knees. This exercise is for the liver, and it's about giving some avenue of expression to the frustration and the stagnation and stress that has a tendency to settle into our liver when we have to do things like be an adult or parent or have a job. All of these things tend to create stress, create tension in the liver itself. And so this Qigong exercise is all about giving an avenue for the expression of that tension. So we make a soft fist with our hands. As we inhale, we allow our hands to drift up in front of us. And we make that soft fist, making some really easy circles, and then bringing those fists right to our ribs as we exhale. Doesn't matter which side you start, again, because we're going to do 8 of these, so both sides will get an equal 4 count. So we inhale, allowing the arm to come straight out. The knuckles are still facing up, and right as we're extending right to the end of our extension, we exhale and turn that hand over. And so now we've got one hand out and one hand close, and they're going to change positions. So I inhale, the out hand pivots to come back, the back hand pivots as it goes out. So we can also add some movement in our stance to this as well. We inhale, changing positions, and we stoop slightly. And exhale brings us up. Don't lock the knees. Good, last one. Good. Inhale, bringing the hand back. Exhale, pressing down the outside edges of the legs past the feet into the floor. Pivoting on the heel and the ball to come back in. Pull down heavens. For our 8th and final gem of this glorious brocade, we engage in dropping post, basically using the structure of our skeleton to shake up that which is stuck in our fascia, that which is stuck in our joints, emotions, and mostly experiences and events, trauma, all gets locked up, held in our fascia, held tight to our bones. Dropping post gives us access to some vibration that we can direct deeper and hopefully jostle those holdout areas and give them an avenue for release. Now, as we drop, it's important and imperative that we allow the vibration to move through us. We don't want to drop and stop. This is bad on the knees, this is bad on the hips, this is bad on the vertebrae of the spine. So we want to allow that vibration to move through us. And so our knees are bouncy. As we fall down from our heights, we allow that bounce to move all the way up through us. That said, we need to be in a very specific stance to do this dropping post. And so we come up onto the balls of our feet. We pivot so that our heels come closer together. And then we lower back down so that our heels are right next to each other, creating a nice V with our feet. So just as we've done in a couple of our other wonderful gems in the 8 brocade, we're going to use our magic magnet hands to gather energy up to the level of the navel, and then we're going to press as if pressing on a counter and come all the way up onto the balls of our feet. So we inhale, gathering to the navel, and press, full of breath. We exhale and drop, letting that vibration move up through us, really allowing that mobility of the knees and the hips to be a part of that vibration. We do it 8 times. With the 8th time actually being 8 drops. There's 3. Now for our 8th time, we'll bounce 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Up onto the balls of our feet. Get it back into that Wu-Ji position and down. Pull down the heavens. Good. To come to a close, I like to utilize that pulling down heavens motion to gather the chi that I've generated that's around me, to gather the ambient chi that was here before I started doing my Qigong, and to take both of those types of chi, amass them, concentrate them, collect them, and place them in my bio battery, my lower dantian. So I inhale, imagining my magic magnet hands, gathering all of this chi to a point that if I had a unicorn horn, it would be straight out at the tip of my unicorn horn. And then exhale and drop all of that chi and light right down into my dantian. One hand right over top of the other to press it in. I do it 2 more times. Gathering. Out to my unicorn horn. And then dropping, drifting, pressing. Relax the knees. Relax the butt. Last one. And drift, drip. And just so I don't lose any chi, I like to close off my meridians. I like to make a complete circuit out of my meridians. And to do that, I bring my feet together so that the ends of the meridians at my arches and my toes are as close as they can be. Then I place my palms and my fingertips together as well. This always gives me a sense of gratitude and appreciation, and I thank you for practicing my Qigong with me. Namaste. Look for some other Qigong. I've got quite a bit to choose from, and more where that came from. I'll see you next time.